Chanute Field was one of the best school for aviation. They had 30,000 GIs all at one time. Had 3 mess hall plus Buckingham Palace, which was another mess hall, was anybody that was you were an instructor or a high officer, you could eat at Buckingham Palace. But the mess halls were all the latest. They were built to be the model for the rest of the country. Everything was stainless steel. The best food. They had the best chef, and the officer in charge would come around and ask you if everything was all right, if the toast, if the eggs were all right, if everything was fine. If not, they say they would have changed. It was something that people had never seen before. It was real nice, and they could feed 3,000 people a minute, and it was so efficient. And I trained there. When I went there from Jefferson Barracks. I went there for my flying training, and I studied the first 6 months, studied all about aircraft and engines from the ground up. When I first went there, I didn't know a wing from a tail section, but after 6 months, I knew everything about an aircraft and the instrument. I particularly liked the instrument section, so I studied instrument, and between that and flying, after 6 months on graduation, the school academic section, they want to make me an instructor, and I said no, because I didn't know that much about it, and I figured that I wasn't qualified enough to be an instructor. And they said, no, we've been watching you, and we think that you make a good instructor. And I said, no. So in order not to be an instructor, I signed up for advanced school, and I took advanced flying and advanced instrument. So after completing that course in 3 months, after graduating that, I also, again, they decide that was going to be an instructor, and that's what they made me. But I was very displeased with it because all my friends had gone. Some had gone to Europe, some had gone to the West Coast, and I was stuck there because I was going to be an instructor, so I was an instructor. But in the meantime, I had got a good partner, a civilian by the name of Schultz. He was a physicist, and he taught me a lot about physics, and I learned a lot more than I knew, and so I stayed and taught for instrument flying for 6 months or more until, and I had some generals from Argentina and some from Chile. They were taking a course, American flying, and I had them in my class. They were very nice, but they could not comprehend by lecturing or writing on a board, but when you show them a mock-up, they would immediately understand very well what you were talking about. So that was the way I used to present to them. After the class, I used to stay a little after, an hour or so after, and I used to instruct them a little extra, and they appreciate that. And they were very courteous and very nice people to deal with. And after, but I still didn't like to teach because after every 30 days you get a new class and you had to grade them on 29 different things. And it was hard for me to, because I didn't know that much that short time I had been in this country, didn't know that much the language. So in the meantime, an order came from the War Department that stated who wanted to sign up for combat duty. So I went and signed up, and in a week's time, I was shipped out to Las Vegas for training for combat flying.